Will you sit with us? The library. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the City of Benton Harbor Commission meeting to order. We'd like to begin with an invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Deputy Director of Public Safety, Deputy Clark, and the invocation will be led by Evangelist Burton.
Did you say something?
All rise.
Heavenly Father, we invite you into this meeting on tonight. We understand that the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. I pray that there will be peace in everybody's heart. And I pray, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, that we would do everything decent and in order. And in all of our getting, get an understanding so that we can move forward together in unity to build up the waste places of our city. And that we will do what is right in order to benefit the people and the citizens of our city. We thank you in advance for your presence being in this room. We thank you, God, that you're going to lead us and you're going to guide us. And we're going to listen to one another so that we can understand, so that we will have the better good for our city in our heart as we move forward. We ask all of this in your Son, Jesus' name. Thank God. Amen and amen.
Amen.
Yield to the City Clerk.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Present.
Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Henry, Commissioner Isom,
Present.
Commissioner Kennard, Commissioner Singleton,
Present.
Commissioner Warren,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Mayor Mohammed.
Present.
You have a quorum.
This brings us to the next agenda item, approval of minutes, regular minutes, June 2nd, 2025. Is there a motion for the approval? Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson,
Support.
supported by Commissioner at Large Isom. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Henderson? Yes. Commissioner Henry? Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard? No. Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
No.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to approval of accounts payable listing. Is there a motion for the approval? Motion is made by First Ward Commissioner Henderson.
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner at Large Isom. Is there discussion? Carry none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henry? Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard? No. Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
No.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to our first presentation on this evening. It will be done by the Point of Woods Golf Club located here in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And we have with us Jim Delpa, and we have also Benton Harbor's own Coach Jennings, who currently is the head coach at Central Michigan Chippewas. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Yes, sir. You are recognized.
Thank you, thank you. Do you want to start? Hi. Again, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kevin Jennings. I'm a Benton Harbor High School graduate, currently coaching Central Michigan University. Came up with an idea a few years back, kind of synonymous with an idea. The gentleman here, Mr. Matt Flaherty, who's the GM at Point of Woods and also head professional for a collegiate golf tournament. That idea has come to fruition now. We've been approved by the board for 4 years till 2028 to host a collegiate event, NCAA Division I 54-hole event. This year, we have teams from all over the country: Florida Gulf Coast, San Jose State, New Mexico State, St. Mary's from California, San Francisco, University of San Francisco, Michigan, Cincinnati, Princeton, pardon me, thank you, Illinois. So we have a lot of teams that are coming, and this is just in the first year. In years to come, we already know some of the teams that will be coming in years to come will look like the top 25 in the country. So we're very excited about this event and looking forward to a very exciting time, and we will look to showcase our unique area, the beauty of our area, and the good things that we have to offer. So and I'll defer to the pro to also chime in on a few things.
Yeah, so Point of Woods, obviously a pretty good history with amateur golf with the Western Amateur. That has moved on to a bunch of different locations, so we lost that as our home, as a home. And then I was blessed to meet Coach Jennings, and this has been something I've actually been working on for probably about 5 to 7 years. Coach enters the picture, and all the stars just aligned, and it was a really cool moment. So we have at least a 4-year agreement for our board of directors at Point of Woods. We firmly believe this will be a much longer relationship than 4 years, but we had to start somewhere. But this is really a bunch of layers that really tell a great story. We have Coach Jennings, who grew up in Benton Harbor, was a caddy at Point of Woods. He and his brother, JJ, also caddied. We're mentored by some of our members that also obviously help them financially, but also help them learn and grow as individuals. Now Coach has come back to Michigan, Division I coach. So we really kind of have a nice full circle moment, if you will. Again, we've had a void at Point of Woods, losing the Western Am. We have also recently started a foundation at the club, which is scholarships for our employees. So it's a little bit different than just the Evans Scholar. I shouldn't say just the Evans Scholar, but it's available for all of our employees, not just caddies, and we actually have the ability to choose who receives that. So it's much more homegrown. This event, net proceeds are going to actually help us fund our scholarship program to provide more scholarships and bigger scholarships to the community. One of the gentlemen that is a member of Point of Woods, who actually Coach caddied for quite a bit with he and his son, is Mr. Jim DeLappa. He is quite the philanthropist. He's donated, I believe he has over 100 scholarships at Michigan State alone, plus some others. So everything just kind of really fit together, and we are extremely excited, and we are hoping to get Southwest Michigan involved at a multitude of levels. We already have some sponsorship programs going. We started out doing fairly well, and we're pretty excited about where we can go to. Had a nice little media press day last week, so the coverage is starting to get out there. I hope you saw a nice Moody in the Market article that just came out yesterday. But we are definitely looking to make an impact to our city, from the businesses to the hotels, to the fooders, as well as hopefully gaining more exposure for Point of Woods to be an employment of choice for Southwest Michigan high school, college kids, so that we can help them better their education, better their future with some financial assistance. The scholarship is just not for colleges, it's also vocations and trade schools, and anyone who is looking to advance themselves in their career that's a good staff, good working staff member.
One other item of note, we are also in affiliation with the Golf Coaches Association of America. For those who may not be familiar with them, they conduct a tournament up the road in Grand Haven called Folds of Honor, which is exceptionally successful. They also help us with an event that I host in Napa, California. They run that for us as well. They elevate everything that they touch. They recently hosted an international collegiate competition called the Palmer Cup. They host that every year. It's international. So they also are partnering with us with this event.
So as the three of us have kind of united, we really feel like we have something pretty special here that's got some longevity to it and hopefully a lot of impact right here in Southwest Michigan. Any questions at all? I'd love to try and answer them.
I want to recognize Commissioner at Large, Kennard.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I did hear you bring about a lot of points, but I'm trying to see the very essence of what would this do for Benton Harbor. I mean, we've got a lot of challenges, and I'm trying to see exactly, is Point of Wood, I do know there's a Point of Woods area, but this is out of where?
Point of Woods is located in Benton Harbor, right by the Millburg borderline, right
Okay.
off Roslyn Territorial Road.
Okay, so the benefits of it being here, or what you're bringing here to us, is what?
Local businesses trying to hopefully garner some more business for them. The Inn at Harbor Shores will be the hotel for all the players and families for the 4 days. And hopefully, more importantly, getting the youth in Benton Harbor to hopefully come to look for employment opportunities at Point of Woods, whether it's through our caddy program, food and beverage, the pool, or golf operations, so that we can hopefully start to provide more scholarships to, quite honestly, the kids that need it the most.
In addition, this tournament that we spoke of, the Western Amateur, you may not be aware of, but 40 of these were held, 41, I'm sorry, were held at Point of Woods. Nicholas won that, Tiger won that, Phil Mickelson won that. So what we're doing is getting more notoriety to this area again, or letting people know what's here.
Yeah.
So it's like similar to the event that was held at Harbor Shores,
Yes.
except this is a collegiate event.
Yeah.
So there were
Okay.
15 teams. So literally 6 to almost 10 people per team representing each institution.
So the difference in the golf course that you're bringing as the one that was here previously and has left this area, what is the power you will bring that they didn't have?
Well, what I'm bringing is, for lack of better terms, nostalgia, because the current generation does not know what that venue is. So what I'm doing is I'm opening doors and allowing the newer generation to understand what that is and what we have here in southwestern Michigan, the gems that we have here, the beauty that we have here in this area. So that's what we're doing, is showcasing the area, the golf course, the area, letting people know how beautiful it is here. That's my goal. You're welcome.
I want to recognize Commissioner at Large, Isom.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to, when is the tournament?
Fourth weekend in September. Yep, so it'll be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the fourth weekend in September, 28th, 27th, 28th, 29th this year. But we will follow that program for the next 4 years.
The employment for local,
The employment side is not just related to the golf tournament. That's related to a full season, if you will. So the event's just trying to bring a little bit more attention to the club as well as to the community that we do have this. In the past, I've worked with Eben at the First Tee quite a bit. We've done some programming with the Benton Harbor High School to bring staff out there. And to be very honest and transparent, it's kind of been a trickle effect, and I'm hoping this might open up the floodgates a little bit more. Yep.
Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large, Singleton.
I'd just like to just say thank you and for putting in a lot of work, and at Benton Harbor, nice to see a Benton Harbor graduate, on that level, of, in that scene there. I do think the last big one I remembered out at Point of Woods was the Tiger Woods, thing, and Michael George, he was out. So some big names have came through that, and I think it will expose our kids to, a wide array of things, possibilities. So, this is another opportunity to, like you say, showcase the area and, get people involved and hopefully, the next Tiger Woods come out of Benton Harbor,
Amen. And I would like to add, this will be a free event for anyone to come out to just spectate and enjoy over the 3 days. There is no fee to come out and have some fun.
And watch the next Tiger.
Next.
So I just want to first thank Coach Jennings. And you said, are you the golf pro?
Past head golf pro, now general manager.
Okay. So I had at the time when I was caddying, Sam Drake,
Yep.
he was outgoing, but Fred Reeder was the golf pro at that time, and I think Tom Rose succeeded him. But my first professional experience came at Point of Woods as a caddy. My brother, he went on to get a scholarship. He was an Evans Scholar.
Mr. Singer's story is something I tell regularly.
Okay.
It's remarkable. And that's exactly what we've lost out on.
Right.
Probably the last decade, maybe a little bit further. And when I hear that, I feel a responsibility that we need to do more. And again, this is where this all kind of came to fruition. There was a bunch of failed attempts over 7 years, and I wouldn't say they're failed attempts, I'd call them learning experiences to finally get us to this end goal.
Well, I'm excited. I'm tickled to death because I think I was in the 7th grade when it came over to PA, and they said that jobs to caddy. I wasn't old enough then, but once I got to high school, so my experience there, I met the Kirschenbaums, I met some just great people, and my father, he told me, he said, I want for you to be around community leaders, business people, educators, because, good company shapes good character. So I'm happy to be an alumnus of the Caddy program, and whatever we can do as a city, we definitely support this event. And city manager, I'm sure he's an avid golfer, so he will be in touch. I want to recognize 4th Ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I just want to say that I think this would be a great addition to the Fourth Ward. And I'm so glad to see my classmate coming home and doing great things. Yes, and I just want to know, I play indoor golf quite often, but can you teach me outdoor golf?
That's an easy thing to do.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to it.
We got it.
He didn't become a Division I coach by accident.
Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to, when is the press?
We had media day this past
Okay,
Tuesday.
Okay.
So
It went off
we
pretty
had about
good.
12 or 13 sources there. It did. It was a good day.
Okay.
Very humbling.
Well, keep
Very,
us
very
posted. Yeah.
Very
I
exciting.
really appreciate everyone's time this evening. I appreciate you giving us a chance to tell our story.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
This brings us to our next item on the agenda, which is an update by our Honorable County Commissioner Mamie L. Yarbrough and President of the Public Library,
Don't have enough.
the Mamie L. Yarbrough Public.
Please, chill. Have a seat there. Tony, okay? Thank you. Honorable Mayor Muhammad, Honorable, I'm sorry, at large. No, that's not what you are. Mayor Pro Tem Seats. No, I want to say it right. And Honorable city commissioners, and our residents. I thank you for this opportunity. I got a different hat on. I'm normally here talking about the county, but we want so much to talk to you just for a few minutes about the Mamie L. Yarborough Benton Harbor Public Library. What we would like for you to know is that our elevator is not broken. It works, and so we want that to be known all over the community. What it is that it's in a building, the elevator is in a building that was built in 1968, and ADA was not even in practice. It wasn't anything that anyone had thought of. And so everything has been examined and all, they're doing things all over the United States. And we are working with the city because the library does belong to the city of Benton Harbor. And we have been so fortunate and had all of our staff and taking good care of the building. And there are things that have happened. And what it is that the ADA has given us an opportunity to have until 2027 to get our building in order so things can pass through some doors and all of that. So what we would like to, I'd like to give you some information, and I would ask Jill if she would introduce herself and tell who we are, and what we can do should they decide they needed another poll again.
Oh, certainly. I'm Jill Rao. I'm the Public Services Librarian. I've been there since 1996, so I'm not as old as the elevator, I hope. We do have options. Should there be a return of the vote to the library, we're always happy to host that. We do have a ground floor room that's fully accessible. So if it should ever the question should ever come back, but it's also for other purposes. So if the city has other things that may not be suitable for an auditorium setting, we would be happy to accommodate anything like that. So thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And I'd like to have an opportunity to introduce some of our board members. We can start with Commissioner Edward Isom, who is on our board, Deidre Fields, and Tony Roberts. And we have 7 members on our library board. 5 are from the city of Benton Harbor, and 2 are from Benton Charter Township. And then we have a gentleman here that I would like for him to introduce himself and to talk to you for 2 minutes or something like that, please.
My name is Brother Reynaldo Frias, and I am the new director of the library here at Benton Harbor. It's an honor for me to be here with you, honorables. I'm looking forward to work along with you, to inspire, to inform, and to invite all children, adults, and elders from our community to build bridges and to make of our library a place where everybody feels that belong, a place where people can find not only books, but programs, activities, and fun, a place where we can have a cafe, where we can share, where we can invite authors, and like we have one today, a wonderful author, a place where our children can come and feel safe, a place where we all can come and have a space. I belong to the community of monks, the Franciscan. We are in Detroit, in Chicago, in Philadelphia. Though I am originally from Haiti, the Dominican Republic, you will say, what brought you here so far? But I've been in the United States for the last 20 years. I study library science in Puerto Rico. I have worked in Washington, D.C., in Philadelphia. I have been involved with community outreach, with homelessness, especially in Philadelphia, with the opioid epidemic, helping single moms, helping them to find resources, to find a way to get out of the poverty. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. And this is what we said, what do we call you? And he said, Ray. We said, no, we can't call you that. And so it's Brother Reynaldo. And in his application and all, it's all the things we do. I saw STEAM and all kinds of different things. So he knows a lot about a lot. And I'm so thankful. And so we thank you for this opportunity. And please know that we're doing all right. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing. This Saturday, we're going to have a movie at the Mamie L. Yarbrough Benton Harbor Public Library called The Light of Truth. And it's about Richard Hunt, the sculpture he made in Chicago about Ida B. Wells. And so the producers, directors, all kinds of people are going to be here that you'll be able to meet them, talk to them, and see this documentary. It's about an hour, a little bit over an hour, at the Benton Harbor Public Library on June 21st from 12 to 3 p.m. So bring your children and all, please remember us. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to the citizens' comments or public participation. There is a 3-minute maximum per speaker. Please sign in with the clerk, and she will call you in the order on the sheet.
Deidre Fields.
So, good evening, good evening. I am here on tonight as a citizen and also as a community advocate. So again, I wanted to speak on the Wellness Hub, which is at 756 Pipestone. I have a couple events going on or coming up. Actually, this Friday, we're going to do a financial wellness. So it'll be an entrepreneur youth that'll be selling like some different goodies. I want them to be like $1 or less, as well as bringing out some of the items from the Wellness Hub, being that we want them to be showcased and seen, so I plan to make them nice. And again, it's still at that intersection of Pipestone and Niles. And actually, at the library on July 1st, I have a young readers workshop where there will be 2 of the local authors, children authors, Lakeisha Reed, as well as Tamika Jackson. I never say her last name right. We graduated together. Tamika Ray was her name when we were in school. But in any case, and then we're having a host of different activities that are for the youth. I have retired CPS workers, so different community advocates or teachers and whatnot that wants to do different engagements with the youth for reading. You guys know I do an adult one, or maybe you don't. I do an adult one as well. And also, again, this will be at the public library on July 1st, starting at 2 p.m. And that's just in summary. Thank you.
No more comments.
Thank you. This brings us to our budget hearing, which every year the city of Benton Harbor is legally charged with producing a budget that will be presented publicly before residents and the community. It is, again, state law that we hold these meetings or meeting in order to not only be transparent, but to allow for residents and community and stakeholders to see how the taxpayer dollars will be budgeted and allocated. So with that being said, the city manager of the city of Benton Harbor is responsible per city charter to present a budget. And it is the responsibility of the city council to hear, to listen, and ultimately approve so it can be sent to the state of Michigan before a set time. So with that being said, I want to yield to the city manager as we open the budget hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe most of you have a copy of the budget in your package. There's also a budget amendment in there, so you have to kind of sift through to get to the budget itself. One of the key points to be made about the the budget for the upcoming 25-26 year is that we do this budget in a backdrop that has seen several years of deficit that's a result of our water operation as well as also our cemetery and some other areas that were impacted by the actions of the emergency manager some years ago. When the commission made the decision to maintain its water plant, we understood that that meant it was going to be, there'd be some financial difficulties because at the point that the emergency manager affected the change to our water system, we were pumping about 8 million gallons a day of water that serviced all of this side of the river, including Benton Charter Township, part of St. Joe Charter Township on this side, part of Hager Township, most all of Benton Township, and even a small part of the area out by forget the next town down, but nevertheless, we now pump a little less than 1 million gallon a day. The difference in the impact on the city's revenue was considerable. As a result, we wound up with almost a $2.5 million shortfall in each year's budget. Likewise, the cemetery was changed to where previously the cemetery was basically self-sustaining. After the actions taken by the emergency manager, we wound up with a situation where there is no revenue coming into the cemetery that's available to cover operating costs or anything of that nature. Basically, all of the money that comes in for the burials go to the private firm that digs in the graves and covers them and maintains it. As a consequence, it's fallen on the city's budget general fund to pay the cost of cutting grass, trimming trees, repairing the roadways that are necessary for people to get back and forth through the cemetery, and whatever other expenses come up. So that has resulted in the situation that we are dealing with on a year-to-year basis, and it has to be understood that that's going to take place for several years. It's not going to go away right away. But we're constantly working to try to increase revenues, decrease cost, and do what we can to improve our situation and try and get it back to being balanced. On to 26 budget starts with page 1, and it's right after the amended budget. Starts 2025-26 budget, table of contents, and then if you flip over to the next page, it starts with the budget assumptions that are included in here that affect it. Some of those things, in addition to our shortages related to water operations that impact this budget, are legal fees, for example. Many of you are probably aware there was a judge's decision just recently that reversed an earlier ruling, and that now is going to cause a lot of additional legal activity in terms of taking testimony from expert witnesses, taking depositions, and all of that kind of thing. We projected in the budget $650,000, over $500,000 that we expect is probably going to be incurred this year by the law firm that's representing the city in regard to the lawsuits around the water situation, the allegations that were made. In addition, prior year when we did the budget, our insurance costs were around $500,000. A few months after that went up. You cannot hear me? I'm holding. Okay. Within a couple of months of that beginning budget period, that insurance cost went up to about $700,000. So that also is included in the budget for the coming year. On page 3, just that's a page where it's a budget summary. Essentially, says the revenue for 2025 is projected in the general fund at $9,903,902. Major roads, $1,082,588. Local roads, $699,777. CDBG, $482,000. That's a combination of the $382 allocation that we received from HUD for this year, plus carryover from the prior year that's going to be used. Miscellaneous grants, we projected $5,322,500. Pension, approximately $96,941. Permanent public improvements, $210 and $210,389. Utility operations, $4,247,044. And utility projects, $15 million. Now, that utility projects, $15 million, that's not local tax money, that's grant money. In fact, it's within the, if you look at that first column that says estimated beginning fund balance, down where you see the $74,168,439, that's an accumulation of various grants that the city received in the prior year for lead line replacement, repair and replacement work within the water plant, utility line upgrades and the street improvements that were necessary because of the streets having to be dug up and so forth. That's where that $15 million comes from. Expenses projected for the coming year, $11,119,125. And if you notice, that's greater than the revenue, so it's already, that's part of that overage that I'm talking about. Major roads, $1,069,788. Local roads, $838,577. CDBG, $482,000. Miscellaneous grants, the $5,322,500. Pension, $86,000. Permanent public improvements, $1,000. Utility operations, $5,247,846. And of course, the $15 million that's there under utility projects. So when you look at the next column, budget, net revision, net revenue, you see a total $2,121,694 shortfall. That basically is what we're dealing with here as the budget for the upcoming year. Now, Behind that, you'll find individual pages that spell out the breakdown in the revenue that's going to be expected to be received, a breakdown in the operating expenditures, how much to various departments and activities. And as you go on beyond there, it just goes through each area. Operating expenditures expected, revenue expected, and those are the details that tie back to the first page that I was explaining to you. We'll go through step-by-step detail in every department. You have the information. Certainly willing to answer any questions that you have.
Chair recognizes Second Ward Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I just had a question. I'm comparing my original proposed budget to the new one that we got tonight, and I'm just not understanding. If you look at the expenses, I see that they went down 24,000, which is good, but I don't see the difference in the buckets. All the bucket numbers remain the same. So just wondering where that 24,000 is.
It came out of the city manager budget. It was previously in personnel.
I want to recognize are you?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm finished.
I want to recognize First Ward Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor. My just question is, how are we going to continue to address the public safety overtime and all that? How will we continue to address those costs, those high costs?
I have been meeting with the Public Safety Department and talking about doing what we can to reduce overtime. There's not a great deal, but I think there is some that we can do. And as I've recently discussed with them with the additions of filling of number of vacancies that they had, we hope that that will enable us to provide the coverage with a little less overtime. But part of it will still be there because of our circumstances and the language in the union contract that's been there for some time.
I want to recognize Commissioner at Large Kennard.
Improvement that they're talking about. You listed so many improvements here. So what are the public improvements that, because a lot of things we need to have itemized and understand exactly what was the improvements made with this here permanent public improvement, because the streets and other things are already here, dollar and cents is behind that. So what is the public improvements?
What page?
You got here on page 3 here.
Okay. The permanent public improvements is a category that's in your millage for a certain amount that's received for public permanent public improvements. In this past budget period, the way that's been used mostly is to where matches are required for some of the grants that we receive from Department of Transportation. A good example is the work that was just done on the parking lot for this side and down behind the police department. A certain amount of that we got as a grant, and a certain amount we had to match, and we did it, I believe, from Permanent Public Improvements. But we do that as it's necessary on different items that we're trying to address. Generally available for whatever kind of public improvements we might need to use it for, when we have the money to do it.
I have a question regarding the public safety, where the monthly bill has grown from $14,000 in 2018 to approximately $38,000 monthly in 2023, 2024, 2025, which equates approximately to $450,000 per year for vehicles. Is there some way we can do a analysis where we can find some savings in that particular area? I don't know how often we get new vehicles, or what has allowed for it to balloon double. And I do appreciate, and I just want to say this, years ago, which is one of the reasons we turned to Enterprise, we, had police officers, bald tires, vehicles 15, 20 years old, in worst cases, where they just were not equipped. From a transportation standpoint, as a department, to deal with the issues of trying to fight crime, but at the same time in a vehicle that probably shouldn't even be on the road. So in no way do I want to denigrate or take away from the need for quality vehicles in a department fleet for public safety. However, from $14,000 to $38,000 a month, totaling $450,000 per year, is there any way, Mr. Manager, that we can seek to find some savings?
Mr. Clark and I just met with Enterprise a couple of weeks ago to talk about that, what's in it, and what we might be able to do to try to bring it down and so forth. Things that's involved there's more than just police vehicles. And Mr. Clark, if you would, why don't you, if you take a moment and explain what's going on with that?
So that amount covers all the vehicles in the city. So that's the Black Traverse for City Hall, that is dump trucks, that is the garbage truck, public works trucks, anything that we use except for the fire trucks. And the larger cost is actually the big, large dump trucks that have the underbelly plows for salting and snow removal in the winter. That's actually part of this cost too. That's not all public safety vehicles.
Do we get that through Enterprise?
Yes, we do. Yes, we have several dump trucks that we've gotten through Enterprise, and one trash truck that we've also gotten through Enterprise.
So, like I said, I do appreciate having the modernity of vehicles for our use, for safety, and to fight crime. But is there any possible way that there can be any savings? Because as you just stated, we're running a deficit. So, we have to find somehow, some way to where we can find some savings? Is there any way?
We are going to be continuing to look for those opportunities. One other thing I should mention, though, is that the city doesn't actually have a maintenance operation, and what's included in this arrangement with Enterprise is maintenance on these vehicles also when something goes wrong on one of them. Now, that's not the case in all instances. I believe the garbage truck may not be covered, but other vehicles, we take them and it's covered under the maintenance that's part of this contract with them. But we are going to definitely continue to look for opportunities to find savings in it.
And then I'll also, I know our tech, which we have a great tech department, but I do want to look at charges where we're about $18,000 per month on computer services, was about $216,000 annually. Is there any way that we can maybe look to see if we can maybe be $50,000 or $75,000 less, where maybe we're at $150,000 to $160,000 as opposed to being at $216,000 or even below?
That's a meeting that we held this past week with a possible new vendor. But as we did that and went through what's going to be involved for any new vendor to step in, we ran into some complications with what's included in the old contract that's going to cause us to still be stuck with some rather high costs for an extended period of time, because the old contract that was done several years ago included provisions like some of the equipment that we use actually belongs still to the firm that we're currently with. And if we pull out of that, they get their equipment back, we have to replace it. But the answer is we're going to continue to work on it. As you seeing, I'm going through everything that costs money to try to find ways to bring it down.
Because the last thing, we don't want to cut, our greatest resource is the human resource. So that's the absolute last area that we want to look at, especially, given that you have eloquently stated that we're working with a skeleton crew. And we really can't afford to lose anybody. However, we don't want to go into where we aren't able to pay them at the same time. So if we can find ways to save in areas other than people, I think that it behooves us from a management standpoint to look at in every corner and crevice to where we can pinch and be able to save, where we can try and bring or at least stop the bleeding with the deficit, or keep it at least from growing. Oh, lastly, the CDBG, I know that in your work with HUD, they have wanted to see us not rely 100% on just the CDBG allocation as it relates to staffing, that they wanted to see the city of Benton Harbor contributing out of our general fund in order to actually staff that department where it's not just one person down there. And I think that you've done that where you have two people working in that department, and the work, I mean, it's great. Where are we at as far as hiring a director, or someone who will be, I know we got a coordinator, and what's the other position?
We also have a CDBG manager that is assisting with a lot of the overhead operations and block grant.
Okay, so they don't have to necessarily, does it require the title director?
No, it does not.
The only requirement is that the work is being done and that those persons are we still using SARS? Where their work is documented through a kind of not a worksheet, but a document sheet that HUD provides where we can show the work activity of the person that's in that department and that they're being paid based upon this load of work that's being done.
No, sir, we're no longer required to do that since I'm not getting paid anything out of CDBG at all. Now, more often, part of a percentage of my time is used as matching funds for the grants that we're pursuing. And since the CDBG manager is primarily full-time working on CDBG and so forth, there's not a timesheet being required. At present, part of her salary is actually the coordinator's salary is being paid out of CDBG, and the rest is operational cost and so forth. So we don't have that problem. What's happening is, as you mentioned before, CDBG is steadily going down from 3 or 4 years ago. It was up 410,000, then went to 389, now to 382. I sat in on a meeting this afternoon with National Association of Counties. We're not even sure that CDBG is going to survive in the next round. That was part of what the discussion was about, that they're holding meetings with different senators and representatives to try to see if we can preserve CDBG, but that's still unknown at this point.
So in terms of that department, because my concern is building capacity and being able to function and operate, as a system and a department beyond. You've done an excellent job. I mean, we were swimming in debt up to here in terms of money not allocated, and you probably could teach a master class on CDBG. But my concern, Mr. Little, Mr. Manager, is that being cultivated and passed on, and the knowledge that you have and possess, it be deposited in others, where if, Lord forbid, you were not here next year, or you were, because we're all passing, where that department can sustain itself. And yes, you were God sent. We had nobody in the department we had issues, obviously, but how are we going to build capacity with what we have, where you can devote solely your time to the city manager's office, because we really need you, we can see, committing your time, but at the same time having oversight as the personnel director and city manager.
Continue to work on that, sir. Right now, we didn't in this budget because it would have been just an addition to the general fund. And right now, with all the other things we have, we elected not to put that in, but it's something we will be working on in the future to try and make sure we get somebody. I really want to identify and start training a replacement.
So with the budget being, was it 20% can go towards salaries?
Right, and that's now $72,000 out of the $382,000.
So right now you have a split between the two?
No, actually, one person's salary is full-time on it, and the rest goes to their share of copying machines, supplies, materials, and so forth that are necessary to operate the department.
So one full salary is strictly CDBG?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And one is what?
That one's on general fund.
So that's where I'm saying as far as savings.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a portion was out of general fund, but the other portion, CDBG, but because we have to find some way to where we can relieve the general fund.
I've identified that, sir. In indirect costs, we have in the community development area, we have several other grants that are going on. Up to this year, we were allowed to write in 10% as indirect costs, de minimis, without having to have a CPA firm develop an indirect cost portfolio.
So we
for
have somebody working in the CDBG office that's strictly paid out of the general fund.
Yes, sir.
I think we probably need to look at that again, because I don't see how they can be paid out of the general fund exclusively, but doing CDBG work.
It's because, again, we could put half of their salary on CDBG, which then pushes us back to doing the timesheet, but then we still got to make up the difference by providing all of the other overhead costs, supplies
Benefits.
and copying machine and all of that. Then that would be coming out of general fund. So either way, it's the same amount of money, and this is the easier way to do it. But as I said, we are going to be pulling into the general fund indirect cost off of some of these grants that's going to more than cover what that amount is.
I want to recognize Commissioner Henderson.
One question about fees. I didn't see, I see them, they're broken up. What is the total amount in fees that we're paying for different, because I. For example, I'm looking at, and I know there's nothing at this point until we alleviate some of the legal cases, that we have that large fee, but there's a lot of fees associated with services that are being provided for us. Is there any work being done with eliminating some of those fees or services that's provided, that they could come in-house or?
What page are you looking at?
I'm looking at 2 at the bottom. There's a fee for $650,000. That's just legal expenses.
Yes.
And if you look through some of the others, that's almost, that's a huge amount of our budget for legal expenses. But if you go look through the document, there's a lot of fees just throughout for different professional services. They're not in one location. They're just broken up through, our budget. Is there any actions being taken to eliminate some of those fees, some of those costs of services? Is there any way to pull some of those services in-house or providing some of those experts in-house or?
We're certainly reviewing all of them. The city structure does include quite a few fees and so forth because of the way it was set up at the time that I came on board. And we're going through those as we try to work our way through them and so forth. But they cover the legal fees for the firm that's handling water, our city attorney's fees, some of the fees, well, a big one is F&V with the water plant. We have all kinds of different services that require, but we're certainly looking at all of them and trying to pull down as much as we can.
Speaking of the water plant, I know that there were a few different models that we had. I know we still have some staff there, City of Benton Harbor. Have we looked at simply just going with F&V
We
to
have.
eliminate and have some savings?
We have, and we realize some savings as a result of doing that, but the two remaining people that we have, it's more cost efficient for us to maintain them. One of them is the gentleman that goes out and assists with meter reading, turnoffs, and so forth. And while F&B has a person that does some of that too.
What about the other position?
The other position is the only support position that we have clerically out there. And we're monitoring that closely because we're looking at having this person also do some things for Public Works as we try to get everything in the computers.
That's not, would that be additional cost, or that would be kind of shared services?
Shared.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Sorry, looking at this budget, I see a lot of software licenses and maintenance agreements all throughout the budget. And it looks like everybody has their own. And the tally of that, need to know what it is, because everybody looks like they have their own personal software licenses and maintenance agreement. Is this coming from the same company that we have hired to do that? Also, my next question comes from the fact of that we are being sued by city residents and city commissioners and what so have you. Is there money that we've set aside for, just in case we have to come up with some money for the settlement, or are we depending on the insurance company to pay all that? Because if things do not come out.
At this time, we can't discuss as far as a lawsuit, settlement, or anything like that at this time.
Legal fees.
Legal fees is what it has to, what it's titled as.
Okay, well, let me stick with legal fees. How much are we paying in legal fees, and how much is set aside for legal fees for outside the confines of our own attorney? Maybe that's the right question to use. Is there money set aside just in case? Because I know that our legal fees have went up astronomically. And how much more have we have to put in legal to make sure we are protected? Thank you.
In this particular budget, we budgeted $650,000.
What was the last year before, if you don't mind?
I thought it was about $250,000, but
so that's a $400,000 increase. Is that correct?
we're going to get the actual number, but I don't want to be.
I believe you're looking for page 28, the third row down. It looks like the 2024 original budget was for 142,677. I'm sorry, 667. And actual as of 6/30/2024 was 265. Year-to-date balance 3/31/2025 was 250. So there's a significant overage because you're covering the legal fees for the water line litigation, and that is not covered by your insurance.
Last question, Honorable Mayor, through the chair, and thank you again, Director Little, for your hard work, your determination. I mean, we have come from a long way. We're not near receivership, or we're not near where we were before, and that's no credit to just us. That's a credit to you. But I will ask the question: how many people are driving home in city vehicles, and if it's outside the city limits, how many people need to drive? And is there any kind of gas card as far as the usage of gas cards? Who all has gas cards? You don't have to give me that information now, but I would like to know who's all driving home, what is the purpose that they drive home, and who's all using gas cards. Because if it's not for city business or for city emergency, then I don't think people should be driving vehicles home. If they're the same distance from the house to the city hall, then they can pick up the vehicle and go. Because a lot of times people are driving out of town, and there should not be any personal usage with city vehicles. I mean, I don't see you driving around in a vehicle. If there's a state of emergency, you would have to have a vehicle yourself. But I don't see why people are driving city vehicles and taking them home, especially if they're cross city lines. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Personnel and Finance Chairman Commissioner Isom.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I just got a question for the city manager. I see it's we got porta potties down there at Yarborough Park. Could we?
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful park, beautiful. I think it's been added. That's a monthly bill, right?
That's correct.
Can we just have some kind of way we can open those bathrooms for 6 hours or something? I think you got to put some kind of trust in the people to take care of this. That's just another added bill to me, and plus it takes away from the park, the image of the park to me. So I think if you had to put some trust in the people, then we can knock that bill off. There'll be a savings. And one more thing, did you make the necessary cuts to the budget as presented? I see we have a new position in Public Works. That's about 50,000.
Yes, sir.
Is that paying off for the city, or we could have held off from that?
It certainly is, and I think if you are out and about looking around the city where you see many of the things that we are getting done, I think you'll realize that it is. That was a reason for doing that. It got someone that knows the city, knows the department, and I believe it's paying off well for us in terms of the work that's getting done and some of the things that we're doing. I'd like to just comment about the bathrooms. As a matter of fact, this evening I was preparing an email to send to you all with pictures. My reason for doing that was fear of much greater cost in repairing damage, maintenance, and whatnot on those rooms if we left them open. We've been trying to do that with Union Park. And even when we got it locked up, people are breaking into it, damaging the stuff in there, throwing stuff all over the floor and whatnot. This past week, we had another situation occur. In fact, last 2 weekends in a row. Out at the cemetery in the room where they meet to have the last rites, we've got graffiti that's been sprayed on the floor. Last weekend, this week, look back, there's more. And we're going to have to try and clean that up. We have an ongoing problem. People just damaging and tearing up and destroying for no reason whatsoever. I realized very quickly when we got those bathrooms going that it was a choice between not only having to regularly clean those bathrooms and so forth, but also the kind of damage that could be done that we would be constantly replacing and so forth. It made a lot more sense to just get some porta potties, and then when we have events where we've got personnel down there, then we can open the restrooms where we can monitor what's going on. But I'd like to just mention one other thing that I perhaps should remind everyone of, and that is the problem that I'm experiencing as I try to identify ways to cut costs and so forth. We kind of stepped into an inherited situation where there are a lot of things that are under contract that already have provisions in them that last for more than 1 or 2 years that we're having to try to work through. Even in terms of, for example, the police contract and the ASME contract. There's language in there that determines that what the percentage increase is to be in a particular year is based on the amount of the state shared revenues and the increase in the taxes over the prior year. And then there's a formula there. That's where we had to start off. It's not something that we have any discretion with, and it came up 3.85%. So that automatically is built in there. Same thing with a lot of things that are going on. I'm looking at every detail, find ways to reduce it. We made some significant reductions just recently in terms of AT&T services to the city. We've done it in a number of other areas that we're trying to bring these costs down on. We're trying to cut in half or better the $370-some thousand we spent last year cutting grass. We're still trying to get it up and moving and keep it under control, but we have to. We just don't have the cash.
Mr. Manager, the Michigan Municipal League, I know they work with other cities as relates to insurance. Have we tried to investigate or speak with MML to find another option or alternative, or at least see where we can explore some other opportunities?
Yes, sir, we sure have, and that's one of the things that I've been working on over the last couple of months or so that sort of delayed some of the work I should have been doing on the budget. But we got all of our information into them, and they said they weren't prepared to make a proposal to us this year, but that possibly next year. I might add, I went back to ask them, do we have to wait until the beginning of a year, or can we do it earlier?
So, and I know you don't have a crystal ball. You know, budgets are like marriage. You don't know what's around the corner. But we're committed to sticking with our community and our city through ups and downs, rich or poor. So what areas, if you were talking to a taxpayer, which you are, sitting on this table as well as in the YouTube and in the audience, where or how would you, what could you say that, would make them comforted that, we are going to continue to provide the necessary services, but through your management, we'll be able to decrease some spending so we can begin to move in a direction where we're not going further and further into deficit.
Mayor, to that I would say we will continue to try and provide the best service we possibly can, while at the same time looking at every area of cost that we spend money on to try to identify more efficient, effective ways to do it at less cost and trying to bring those down. The only way to solve our problem is going to be trying to increase revenues as we can and decrease costs as we can. And because, again, we're trailing off of a situation that has been there for quite some time, and a lot of it we've just inherited. It's just going to take some time to whittle this down because, as I said, many of these, for example, copying machines, I've been studying those to see what we can do. And last time the guy was in to do a repair, they sent us a bill for more than I thought it should have been. And I raised a question why, and was told that, well, we had a maintenance agreement as a part of the original thing, but it ended, and of course nobody was aware of it, so I'm trying to find out what we can do in the way of getting reestablished with a maintenance agreement on them, so that if we have to make a call, we don't suddenly look up and get a $600-700 bill. But all of these are things that, I mean, everything from the phones to the electricity. One of the things that I was anticipating making a big difference on in this budget year was in that community change grant, the $20 million grant. Part of that was to put solar collectors on City Hall, on the Bobo Brazil Center, possibly library, and some big battery storage units to store power, anticipating that we would cut our electric bill hopefully nearly in half. But we don't have that, so that didn't quite work, but we're not giving up, we're still trying. The electric bill for water plants around $9,000 a month. For this building and police, it's around $8,000 or $9,000. And when Mobile Brazil is back in operation, that's going to be some cost too. But we're working now on what's called a Solar for All grant that we're hoping to get to. Won't do for us all of what I had in mind with the Community Change Grant, but I think it will help us some. And that's the way we're approaching this. We're just doing what we can, every place that we can, to make a difference.
I want to recognize Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. The budget. I've been looking at budgets in this community for a long time. And then I have to go back to living in a household that have a lack of money. What would you do? What would you do in your own household if there's a lack of money? You would cut expenses. You would look for ways to not spend money. That's not the case with this government. Our financial director come in here and she talks to us and she said, nope, we don't have the money, we can't do it. And within the same time period, we'll pass a resolution to spend some money. And I just want like, did I just watch this in real color? Is this how we are going to fix things in Benton Harbor? No, it's not. So in my research, and I've been asking for information of the engineers, the legal, a couple of other entities that we're paying big money to. And I've been watching what they did. I put it on another software so the software could divide it up and show me exactly who's getting the money, when they get the money, everything. So, but certain things just pop out at me. We have 4 or 5 different attorneys that's handling our legal business. One attorney is getting paid X amount of dollars. That attorney sends an email to another attorney that works for us. They both charge us for an hour or half an hour of work for 15 minutes of conversation about something that belongs to all of us. Legal documents. Both of them are charging us by. That's not just the first thing that happens. It's other things that are going on here. If nobody's watching, I guarantee you things are happening to us. If I was needing to cut back, I would look at subscriptions. I would look at, do we have memberships that we don't need? It's so many things that we should do. But if we think that we're just going to keep moving along with a deficit and it's not going to get any better or not going to get any worse, rather, that's where we are. We have to do something. When a developer comes in here and say, we got to do this, we're going to give you some housing that you need, but we're going to need a tax credit for 60 years. We're going to need tax incentive for 30 years. Do you know how many we've done in the last 2-3 decades? Right here in this city, we have so many pilots and so many people that are just not paying us what other municipalities get. St. Joe don't play that. Stevensville don't play that. But Benton Harbor play it. So it's a lot of things that we need to do to make ourselves sustainable. Our home rule status really calls for us to be sustainable. Our home rule status demands that we have all the power to make us sustainable. But this is not working. What we're doing now is not working. Giving us a budget a week or two before it's due, not enough time to even sit down and talk about it. Really? So, how's that going to work out for us?
I do want to recognize our 4th Ward Commissioner, Clark Griffin.
I just want to know, to the city manager through the chair, what specific steps will you take to try to get us out of the red and keep us out of the red without waiting for grants? Thank you.
To try and look at other sources of services that we receive to see if we can get the quality we need, but at any lower price. One of the areas we'll continue to do things just as I mentioned about trying to lower utility costs. First, I'm going to look at the highest cost items that we have. Those are the ones that the greatest potential for making reduction is, like the electricity, gas, and so forth. Other than that, we will continue to examine everything because this is a very complex puzzle. Once again, you're coming down off a period where for about 2 or 3 years you had $10 million that was able to cover costs. You don't have it now. But we have what's left, which are different contracts, different service agreements, with language in them, union contracts, all these other things. And you can't change them just by waving a wand. Some of it takes time. You got to let them expire and run their course while you look for other alternatives. One I'm definitely on is trying to do something about this insurance bill. That certainly shouldn't be. If we can at some point get these water lawsuits resolved and behind us, and that's not something we have any control over, that will help us. There are just any number of areas like that that we're trying to do to try to cut costs. And that's in every area that we can. And we have to continue trying to pursue grants because we still have so many unmet needs. We're sitting here in a WPA period building built in 1937 that right now, my office, I've got a big tarpaulin in there because water leaks in periodically.
We don't want the inspector to come and cite you, Mr. Manager.
I agree.
So this is on YouTube, so.
But we've got a lot of these kind of things that we've got to deal with, and we're doing everything. It's like paddling in water to try to both stay afloat and still try to move forward too. And that's exactly about the size of what we have. And we're going to do all we can to try to bring these things down. But it's going to take time.
And let me just say, as far as union contract, you know, you're talking to a union expert. I was union rep and UAW bargain chair for years, so I understand how about contract. I negotiated the contracts. So, yes, so I know well about that. And also, I never said that we don't want to pursue grants. I was talking about right now, especially with what's going on in the White House, we don't know when we might get a grant. So we need to be able to be sustainable and stable, you know, without counting on grants coming. So that's what I wanted to know, the steps you would take with what we have now, what's coming in now, what we have. And let me just say, last but not least, I keep hearing about the the lead grant. One thing, one of the commissioners said, it was a commissioner up here in the grant, lawsuit.
Point of order.
No, they're talking about it. Also,
But
it was in the paper. We know in closed section, we're not supposed to talk about this. Mr. Little a few months ago was in the paper naming the commissioner that was involved in it, which was a violation to the closed section. He also stated in there
point of order,
that he knew
Commissioner.
that.
Point of order.
Oh, it's said now. Oh, thank you.
We're going to close. Well, I got last, Commissioner Singleton is going to be the last comment before we close the budget hearing and move to our
Thank you.
agenda items.
Just the budget, you know, I mean, those fees that we were talking about, I know we did a lot of work on overhauling the fees because we definitely were charging, you know, basically nothing, you know, where it didn't work as a deterrent. It actually worked as a reason to say, hey, I'll pay the fee because it's so, cheap than to pay the actual cost that need to be paid. Bottom line, revenue, it's just, you got to increase the revenue. And if the revenue don't increase, we just going to have to live without some stuff that we're accustomed to living with, Everybody, want this, want that, want to keep it going, alleys and everything else. And, we talk about not cutting staff, but it's going to get to a point that if the revenue don't, increase, then the costs are increasing, We need to just be upfront with the, citizens and say, hey, it's gonna be some things that we just ain't gonna be able to afford, until you can, Yeah, I think Commissioner Henry hit it on the head. She said, in your house, the budget tight, basically, instead of eating steak, you probably have some chicken, So we just gonna have to just look at it for what it really is. We want a lot of things, and we want the best of things, but can we afford it, at this time? So we need to, definitely stay on top of increasing, coming up with ways to increase revenues and all other things, and then the worst case scenario is, what can we live without?
Thank you. We're going to close the budget hearing at this time. And we do have our agenda consent calendar, which if people want to separate it and discuss more of the budget, they can. It's a budget hearing, not a public hearing. It's not a public hearing. This brings us to our consent calendar items. Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar, or are there items that should be separated? Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I want to separate 1, 3, and 4.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion is made by Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner Singleton. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard? Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
No.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry? No. Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the first item, which is an ordinance approving budget amendments to fiscal year 2024, 2025 budget year. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion for approval.
Support is made by Commissioner Isom. It is supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Okay. So, I'm just going to start from last year now. I'm not going to go all the way back.
And this is on the budget amendments.
Yeah, and this is about talking about the budget. And I can say what I want to. Okay, April 1st, 2024, we donated $10,000 for the St. Joe River dredging. 2 weeks later, on April the 15th, 2024, we transferred $800,000 ARPA funds to general funds. That same day, we also donated $25,000 to the development of Pawpaw Plaza. So we was transferring money for emergency and donating money at the same time. Can't make that make sense. March the 3rd, 2025, we transferred $450,000 from the income tax fund to the general fund. Less than 3 months, a day short of 3 months later, on June the 2nd, 2025, we transferred $800,000 from the income tax fund to the general fund. So in a little over a year, like a year and a month, we have transferred over $2,050,000. $1,600,000 was just a day short of 3 months apart. And the last thing I want to say, for the city, the commissioners and mayor training, it was overdrawn due to the mayor additional travel expenses, which was not supposed to be allowed. Thank you.
I call for the question. Chair recognizes Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. The 24-25 amended budget. Is that Am I correct?
That's item number 1.
Okay. We have not seen this budget since the last time we approved it. The charter don't call for that. The charter calls for us elected officials to amend the budget, know what's on the budget. So when I see general administration under a lot of different categories, and I have no way to know where that money is going or who it's going to, it causes me a lot of stress. When I see departments spending money, like we've got a dog that costs money. Police department need a dog. We got a boat that costs money. The fire department need a boat. I didn't even know we had a boat until I started seeing the expenses that was coming in for the boat. When I asked for an inventory list of what the government owns and have paid for, there is no inventory list. We don't know what the city have. We can believe that there is no money until we got something to spend it on. We took the last of our money from the opera and gave it to the plaza. And that general administration is driving me nuts. It's all through the budget, but it doesn't give me any information about it. 2024 and 25, this budget showed a slush fund. I can't find it. It disappeared. I believe it was like $3 million. So help us. We need some help. We need to all pull together and use all our little 10% of brain power and find out what's going on. Numbers don't lie. People do. Numbers don't lie. They all have to line up and connect up. And this budget did not connect up when we approved it for July of 2024, and it's showing a deficit. How can we approve a budget with a deficit? We did it last year, and we're going to do the same thing this year. Something is wrong unless we, as elected officials, pull together and figure out how to really fix it. Little things. Now, the city manager knows a lot of things that he can work on. I think little things like turning the lights out when you leave out of the building. I come down here and I see lights on and I'm like, who's working? No car in the parking lot and lights all on. So little things to me is what we could start with until Mr. Little can work his magic. But right now, shame on us.
Call for the question.
Commissioner Kennard? We're voting on the budget amendments for last fiscal year.
Clerk has the floor.
We're voting on the resolution for the budget amendments for last fiscal year's budget.
Because I don't have a clear understanding now, I'll say no.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
No.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
No.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the second separated item, ordinance approving the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Is there a motion for the approval? Motion is made by Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Is it supported?
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner Singleton. Is there discussion? The chair recognizes the Fourth Ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Okay. I keep hearing about the emergency. We in this condition because of the emergency manager. Now, I know Joe Harris, he's been gone since 2013. Tony Sars, he's been gone since 2016. So that's been 9 years. 9 years ago. Last year, we didn't have this issue. Years before, we didn't have this issue. But 9 years, we've been home rule. How much longer can we blame this on emergency manager? How many years do it take? No, that doesn't make sense. Another thing, the city manager had said that we didn't have money to hire a planning economic. I remember Wednesday at the personnel and finance meeting, and he kind of similar said it today. Now, I know that we pay Plant Moran, I believe, over $334,000, if I look right. That's plenty of money to hire a planning economic. It's also money because according to the charter, we need a finance director. There's money for a finance director. There's money for a planning economic director right in there. Because I know if we get a finance director, then we don't need Plant Moran. So there's $334,000. We talking about cutting costs. There's some right there, and plenty of money left over that can help us maybe get out of the red. And I know we were told by legal counsel sometime last year that Mr. Little, as city manager, could not do planning and economic, also should not be doing it, and he's still doing it. So there's money right there. I believe $334,000 I saw. Thank you.
So from my understanding, Plant Moran is budgeted for $88,000 this year.
Correct. They are budgeted for 4 months with a finance director to kind of scope them in.
And I know the chair of personnel finance, you do have some resumes, correct?
Correct, Mayor. We get two that they will send out to the commissioners, yes.
So we are, but that's a separate issue, but since it was brought up, but I do want to just clarify, Commissioner Clark Griffin is right. There were exorbitant charges and fees for the accounting services previously, and has been over the years. So it would be a tremendous savings were we able to hire a finance director, qualified, I must add, and allow that person to work with Plant Moran as that transfer of fiscal knowledge takes place, so we can be on sound footing. If that is no other, then I call for the question.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
No.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
No.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard?
No.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I believe there is one more item, which is a resolution authorizing notice of intent to issue sewage disposal system joint revenue bonds. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion for approval.
Motion is made by Commissioner Isom, and is there support?
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner Singleton. Is there discussion? The chair recognizes Fourth Ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
So what I didn't like about this was the fact that, to me, it was vague and not specifically have exactly, it said no financial at the time, but then it could become. Also, what I didn't like, me working with finance and business and all that, I did not like the fact that it stated about a revolving funds. We know revolving funds means it can continue to go up. Thank you.
I call for the question. Chair recognizes Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
This came through committee, and if you read the resolution, and it really needs to be read so that people can hear what the possibility and the need of this money is. But I have to go back to some of the history that I sit in the meetings for the water plant, wastewater plant meetings, and they had a surplus. And they said that they were going to hold on to the surplus for emergencies. Of course, there hasn't been too many emergencies. They did get more customers. So there is a very large amount of money that that they're working with, and they have savings. So with this resolution saying that we're going to ask for a bond, we didn't ask for a grant. We're asking to borrow some more money. That's going to be my problem with it. It doesn't give us a lot of information about how the process will be. It's very vague, and that's the reason why I'm going to vote no for it.
I think the key word is intent.
Very vague.
Intent, which means that this is not approving a bond. This is only the intent for issuance, but any approval to actually enter into a bond has to be a public hearing. I mean, it's a major process to get to that point. So this is just authorizing a notice of intent, but in no way is that authorizing to put some type of bond or bonds on residents as it relates to the sewer system. But what we do know is that the sewer infrastructure is in need of, as we can see our streets, serious repairs and upgrades. And that's no secret. So, but at this time, this is just a notice of intent. This is not a approval of any bond or any additional tax on residents. I call for the question.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats? Commissioner Clark Griffin?
No.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry? No. Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard? No. Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to our staff comments. I want to recognize our Deputy Director of Public Safety, Director Clark.
No comment this evening, sir.
I want to recognize the City Attorney for the City of Benton Harbor, Attorney Seneca.
I just want to thank all of the commissioners. You all sit on different committees that have reviewed the Project T documents. It's been a long process. There's been a lot of amendments, a lot of changes. Tonight, you approved the fourth amendment to allow the closing to go into July if the June 27th date is extended. It's been a lot of work, and I just want to thank everybody on the commission and on the committees for moving this forward. We're finally getting to the end, and it's exciting. This is going to be a very exciting project for Benton Harbor, and all of you have had a hand in that, so thank you very much.
Chair recognizes our Assistant City Manager and Acting City Clerk, Clerk Moore.
Thank you. I just want to let everybody know that I will be on vacation starting this Thursday all the way through next week. So if anybody needs anything, they can come and see Gabby. They can email Gabby, gbell@bhcity.us. So she will be there to take care of anybody that needs anything. I will have limited access to my email, but all the important stuff I will forward to her.
Thank you, and enjoy your vacation. The chair recognizes the city manager, Manager Little.
I would just like to say thanks to the commission. I know this isn't an easy task at all, trying to keep up with and understand some of the stuff that's involved and all the details and so forth on this. It's not easy for me either. I work at doing the best I can for you to try and get it under control, keep it under control, and still keep your city running. There are a lot of things that are going to be necessary to change and make this work. Things that we've done in the past that we just now realize, like somebody said about if your house has a problem, you got to do something different. Alleys are responsibility of property owners. We've been doing the alleys as much as we can. Unfortunately, this has gone on so long now that where people put fences, it used to be understood when you got a fence put on an alley that you also put a gate in it so you can go out there to take the trash out or do whatever else. And people maintained and cut those brushes and things out of the alleys and took care of them. For many years, the city's been doing it. City can't afford to do it anymore. You just don't have the manpower, you don't have the money. And it's not going to be easy to get people to understand that. We are coming behind a lot of years of things that have contributed to our situation. Obviously, there was some problems before the emergency manager. There probably wouldn't have been an emergency manager. But when they did come, they didn't necessarily do us a lot of favors. I'm just going to be honest about it. They definitely did not. And how long does it take? I mean, if you've had 30 years of pumping 7-8 million gallons of water a day, and all of a sudden you're looking at the next who knows how long, pumping 1 million. And part of the plan is I'm hoping that at some point soon we'll be able to increase that. And I know it won't happen house at a time. That'll be part of it. But in order to make a significant difference, we're hoping that there'll be business developments that will have an impact on the water usage and what we supply and so forth. All of these things are going to be necessary in order to bring the situation back into a balance. It's like trying to turn a big ship around. You know, a canoe, you can just spin it. But when you're talking about a big ocean liner, you may have to go 50 miles to get that rascal turned around. And this is going to be the same kind of thing. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fast. We just have to continue to stay the course and chip away at it and try to make a difference. We're still paying $1 million bond payments and so forth that are a result of actions taken some years. When I look at, for example, in the budget, the major streets and minor streets, the way that's been being used lately is match to help get these other grants. It's to our advantage to do that. If you can get a grant and match it with $1 million you got in major streets, and it takes care of an entire project that otherwise you'd have been paying on for the next 20 years, it's smart to do that. But at the same time that you're doing that, you're also having to deal with the day-to-day stuff, the lights, the water, the gas, the insurance, the everything that goes with it. As I'm looking at this budget, cost of health insurance, everybody knows it's been going up everywhere, all over the country. But when I see the numbers that we have to deal with, I didn't invent them. You didn't invent them. They're there. And we've got to pay it or we don't have insurance. So we just have to go through these things until we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I want to recognize Commissioner Kennard.
Thank you, Mayor. As I sit here and I think over, and felt very insulted because there was times that I wanted to make a comment and had my hand up, and I felt that I was being ignored. And so the next time that I have my hand up and I'm not recognized, I'll just stand up. That way I'll know that you see me completely. So what I want to say is the biggest problem we have, they're talking about legal fees and this and that. What we got to, and I'm hoping the YouTube listen clearly. We've heard a lot of conversation tonight. And a lot of it don't make sense, and especially when we get this budget at the last minute, and we don't have the opportunity to go through here and work with him, even if it's one-on-one. He should have the whole commission to come together because we can all ask for questions to be answered then. Here's not the place you get, it's a rush thing. So I don't like that, and I'm not going to cooperate with anything I don't understand. And I want to get a clear understanding of what I'm doing because I was elected by the people, not the commissioners here. We were elected by the people, so that's who we represent. We are a voice, and if we're not clear and understanding the information that we get, because when those people that voted for you ask you for a clear answer, and you're going through a lot of conversation as to what you got, you're not giving them a clear understanding. So I want you to understand that. I thank the Lord for those that did stay through this meeting. And like I said, there's one of the things that we could do to even eliminate a lot of the expense. And that's when we bring a situation to you and you don't address it and get it cleared up right away. You leave yourself open for having suits to come up against you. And we know that. Water was brought here, and every last one of you just about here know that it was brought here. If it had been addressed then, it wouldn't have been a problem here, what we got now.
Point of order,
I'm telling the truth because the water was given to you.
Point of order. Point of order.
So what I'm saying to you is we even have a tree that has been warned about that it's going to fall. But we can vote out money from the city income tax when the city income tax is allocated for taking down any kind of problems in that tree because the roots was taken off from it while they was fixing the streets. So if that is taken off, that becomes a problem when the person that cut the roots off, that they created the problems. So that becomes a problem for the city. The city has ordered them to fix the streets. So if you create a problem in that, then that's what we have as a problem. So I appreciate getting my thought through, and you just left it open for me to come up and talk to you about this now. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
I just want to thank the citizens, residents for listening. If you're on YouTube, and for the ones that stayed here that listened to this, you're stronger than I am. And I want to say this to my colleagues, especially the ones that's over personnel and finance. Because this is what the conversation we started last year about the same time about amending the budget. And we just amended it a year later. That's not the way processes goes with government. So I'm going to ask the chair and the co-chair of personnel and finance that we attend to this budget immediately to look at anything that the commission that didn't have time Because most of us didn't have time to look at all of these pages in a week of length of time. So we need to go over our budget. So I'm asking the chair and the co-chair to start the process of looking at 2025 through 2026 budget that we just approved.
The chair recognizes Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I'd like to thank everybody that's listening out there, and also I'd like to thank everybody that's coming tonight. And if you look the last 2 or 3 meetings, the mayor been talking about the lead line lawsuits. But if we say something, it's fine when he do it, but it's a problem when we do it. So I just want y'all to take note. You can go back and watch the videos, the meetings. And on a positive note, a few weeks ago, I received an ambassador award at the Secret Garden. Also, I want to thank everybody on Saturday, the Juneteenth, for the 8th year. It was wonderful. I want to thank everybody that played a part. If you was there and got a program, you see all that we thank the city and public safety director, again, everybody that played a part. So we thank you again. Also at the Juneteenth, I received a plaque for my years of dedication and service as the co-chair. And I received another plaque at the Juneteenth, too, for my involvement all the years in the community, all the things that I do in the community, and also as the 4th Ward Commissioner. And Friday, this upcoming Friday, June the 20th, I will be receiving an award at the True Blue Gala in Sawyer, Michigan, for my lifetime achievement. For years of things I've done in the community, a lot of boards and committees and other things I've served on, past and present. So God is good. He's still moving despite any opposition. God is good. He's good to me. And one of our guest speakers will be Secretary of State, Ms. Jocelyn Benson. So I'm just feeling good. You know, God is good. All my hard work is not in vain. And I want to thank you, Jesus. To God be the glory. Have a good night.
The chair recognizes Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and thank everyone for coming out. I do have a few announcements. The first one is a citizen wanted me to remind everybody about the city of Benton Harbor's rehabilitation loan program. So just know that if you have things in your home that you need repairs on, you can reach out. The information is on our website, bhcity.us, and you can get all the details or talk to, would that be Mr. Little maybe? Or talk to someone at City Hall. I'm going to say Mr. Little's office can probably at least direct you in the right direction on if you need any type of home repairs and if you qualify. But again, someone wanted me to remind the public. A positive thing that we have going on in one of our brownfield meetings, I believe it was Commissioner Henry had mentioned that Abbott Marsh, and I have a lot of residents from the city of Benton Harbor working for them. One of the issues behind that is we don't have a lot of degreed engineers that are applying for the roles that are from Benton Harbor. So we have a program that Abbott Marsh is starting up where we're going to start with 3 high school students to shadow all of the roles at Abbott Marsh, all of the different types of engineers. So if anyone has a student that's interested in engineering, they will be shadowing people to learn about every type of engineering that Abbott Marsh does employ. So it won't solve the problem tomorrow, but it'll give youth an idea of what they do and if they want to start taking proper classes to apply for college and become engineers. It's going to be a paid 3-week shadow program. So you can reach out to me if you want more information on that. Ideally, we would probably like 10th and 11th grade students, only because if you're already a senior, you don't have a lot of time to take those preparation classes for college, but a 12th grader could work as well. And this summer, we're going to start with 3, and the program will start July 14th. So getting in touch with me as soon as possible would be best if you know anyone that's interested in that program. So someone mentioned young authors. So you may know, if you're my Facebook friend, my daughter wrote a children's book, and she will be doing a reading at Forever Books on June 28th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The book is primarily for, I would say, ages 4 through 12. So if you have any kids you want to bring out, we would love the support. But she'll be doing a book reading and a book signing at Forever Books, June 28th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Then my final announcement is, many of you might know from me having different blessing bag events that I do run a nonprofit called Life Changes Charity. I am fully stocked with toiletries. So if anyone is in need and you need toothpaste, soap, socks, I am fully stocked from getting a large donation. So reach out to me. My information is on the city website, and I can get you some toiletries or probably anything you might need. I even have clothing donations. I have everything. And thus far, I've given out over $75,000 in donations throughout the last 7 years of the charity being in existence, and everything is brand new. So reach out if you know anyone in need, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just like to thank the residents who came out tonight, all of the comments that we received, the collegiate golf tournament, which would be another asset in our community and for the businesses surrounding our community, and just for everyone who has put time into this community to serve it, to make it the great place it is, to our city staff, to the city manager for all of the work that was done on the budget. This is part of the role that we serve in. Is really tough sometimes looking at those numbers, and the ends aren't always meeting, and just looking for ways to increase the revenue in the city, which has always been a challenge, but I think it's a challenge that we'll rise to and address those concerns and issues. And again, I know it's tough work, and just appreciate everything that's being done, especially all of the infrastructure work. I remember when I came in to office, people were calling, complaining about broken tires or torn up tires from going down the road and running into a pothole, and asking for the city's insurance to fix tires and that kind of thing. So just to see some of the great work that's going on in spite of, how some feel there's some great work that's happened and that is continuing to happen in the city of Benton Harbor due to the commitment to the employees that we have, the few staff, as opposed to the 30 that we used to have in some of the departments. There's still some great work happening in the city of Benton Harbor. So thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank everybody for coming out, and those who are listening on YouTube. Glad we got some things accomplished tonight. This weekend was a pretty good weekend. It was Father's Day weekend, and I think the fathers got celebrated. They took me out to our beautiful beach and had a little picnic. I didn't know they was going to do it, but they did it. Then we drove off up the lakeside and went to South Haven, had some Sherman's Dairy, But the thing I had today that really kind of blessed me, I was taking my grandson and my two grand nephews to the Y today. And they're in the car, and they just eager to work, but they're just short of able to get a permit to work, and but I heard them talking, and they're talking among themselves, and one was talking about college, and the other one said, "Man, I'm not going to college." And I got a little concerned at first, and he said, "Well, what you gonna do?" He said, "I want to be a carpenter." He said, "I'm going to trade school," and I said, "Yeah, you're gonna make some money right away. You're gonna get paid to learn instead of, paying to learn." And it was just refreshing to hear kids, talk about that instead of talking about getting into some trouble, beefing with somebody or something, But I taking them out to the Y over in St. Joe there, and I thought about it. I said, "Man, it sure would been nice to take them right down the street somewhere, other than the Boys and Girls Club, they do a great job there, and but there's room for some more stuff. So hopefully one day we'll get the Bobo Zero Center open, and we just got to keep chopping away at it. And they did give me a little hope, I kind of, all the stuff I've been hearing lately, with young folks doing this and that, I was getting a little discouraged, but, hearing them talk, I said, it is some hope. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing. This definitely I know is my last budget. So I hope you guys, next year, that it's better prognosis, and I think it will. We just got to keep doing the things. I heard people say we got to raise revenue, but it's going to cost money. You got to invest to make more money. So it's just a big balancing act. I heard somebody say the emergency manager they long gone, but they left a scar that's probably going to take some generation to heal. So, but I know we resilient folks, and it's going to be better. So.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Isom.
No comment tonight, Mayor.
The chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody who came out tonight. And thank everybody for Project T. Been working on that for 5 years. To see it come to fruition has been nothing short but incredible. I want to thank everybody for what they do on this commission. I think people feel as if every little bit counts. If every little bit counts, your idea counts. But there's one, hatred is strong. I just read a quote, and I'm done. It says, hate no one, no matter how much they've wronged you. Live humbly, no matter how wealthy you become. Think positively, no matter how hard life gets. Give much, even if you've been given little. Forgive all, especially yourself, and never stop praying for the best for everyone. City of Benton Harbor needs everybody. These guns is going loose. Bullets are traveling. They need everybody. And hate don't start with children. Hatred starts with adults who have no kind of, I watch adults talk about adults, and it's like, it's childish. If you're not paying my bills, I don't care what you do. I've been paying my own bills since I was 18. Left here, went to the Marine Corps. Graduated from Benton Harbor High School. Came back to Benton Harbor. Been working at the same job for 26 years. Provided for my kids, the kids who told me Happy Father's Day. Raised 4 other kids that weren't my own. And yet and still, what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose your soul? I go to sleep every night in peace. I said, I go to sleep every night in peace. And praying for this city of Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor needs prayer. More than us being, I've watched some stuff that's been said about the mayor, commissioners, and everything else. And some of the people that drink the Kool-Aid and say the same thing about them. But it's ridiculous. And I'm going to say this, grow up. That's the biggest up need to happen. Grow up. Seriously, to grow. This is United States of America. This is 2025. I'm with Commissioner Singleton. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Tomorrow ain't promised to nobody. But what we do today is what matters. And I tell you this too. My grandfather used to say this. He said, don't count your chickens. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Cease. I'd just like to thank all of the city council. We have gone through another budget year. Budgets are moral documents. It is a testament of hard work, commitment, tough choices. And the city of Benton Harbor itself has gone through many transitions. I'm the first mayor to be elected post a financial crisis. And shortly after the financial crisis, we had a water crisis. And then we had an educational crisis, or the educational crisis before the water crisis. So we have been in constant crisis mode since I've been in the office of mayor. But one thing I can say is that we, not by myself, but by our collective working together, good, bad, or indifferent, we have continued, and I say we have continued to move this city forward. The city of Detroit went through a bankruptcy. The city of Benton Harbor, we escaped bankruptcy. The city of Flint, still they have not replaced all lead service lines. And they were just released by the EPA, while Benton Harbor did in 13 months. What others, I was called and did a article, Milwaukee is going through the same problem. And they called and asked me, what did you all do in Benton Harbor, where you finished the project under budget, ahead of schedule, and you have replaced 100% of all lead lines. And I was able to share with them not what I did, but what we did as a community, as a council. So, Mr. Manager, even though it does not look pretty, but all that we've gone through to submit a $1.2 million deficit with a $3,212,315 estimated fund balance, I think is an act of Houdini, where you pull it out of your hat, and you know, getting rid of people, letting people go is tough, because you're looking at people leave City Hall not knowing how they're going to pay their bills. And I feel comfortable with what we have and the direction that we're moving in. So I would just close by saying that, you know, making sausage is, they say you don't want to be in a sausage factory, because it's an ugly way to get an end product. But I would say that this is probably the most kosher or halal sausage that has been produced. So thank you all. Thank you, staff, clerk, attorney, public safety, and let's move forward. Is there a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
A motion is made by Commissioner Isom, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson? Commissioner Henry? Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard? Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats? Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carried.